booktube! My name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with my weekly reading update. This is for week number 24 and it is June the 11th through June the 17th. So welcome everybody. Happy Sunday. Last week was a pretty decent reading week for me, I felt. I finished 3 books and I did DNF 1 book. And it's a hard DNF. Like, I usually say, oh, this isn't the book for me right now. Maybe I will pick it up later. But in this case, this is one I probably won't be picking up again. And a lot of you who know me probably know what book it is. But, so I'm going to share with you the books that I did finish. I'm going to very quickly mention the book that I did DNF. And I'm going to, of course, share with you what I'm currently reading. And a little crafty stuff. I've got some knitting to show you guys, so that's exciting. So anyway, before we jump too far into it, timestamps below if you want to jump ahead to any part of this video. If there's certain things you want to see or don't see, whatever, please use the timestamps below. And also, today does start the Page Count Reading Challenge. This is a 1-week event that I host every month that it just encourages you to read as much as you possibly can in the course of a given week. So there's different tiers if you want to try and hit like certain goals of 1,000 pages, 750 pages, 500 pages, and 250 pages. Go to my Discord. I do now have a channel, if you will, set up if you want to go and discuss how many pages you've read, how many pages you're reading, what your goal is, what books you finished, what books you're starting. We want to know all the things, so please go over there and check that out. So let's jump into the books that I finished this week. So the first book that I finished this week was Soldier of Her Heart by Syndi Powell. I gave this book 4 stars. This is part of my Harlequin project. This is the Heartwarming. It was the last in that Heartwarming box set. 4 stars, guys. I really, really like this one a lot. What really got this one for me, and I know a lot of people don't tend to read, like, I know with the Harlequin books, I don't know if you see it in a lot of other books. I don't think so. But they tend to have, like, a letter to the reader from the author of, like, maybe where the idea came from or what have you. And I always like reading those. I used to always skip them, but I've really started reading them now because I think they do add another element to the story. And in this case, that's exactly what it was. So in this case, the author had met this soldier who had come back. Maybe it was Afghanistan. I'm not too sure exactly where he served. And she thanked him for his service and he got angry at her saying, like, I don't want to be thanked. This is not, so that kind of gave her like this idea of soldiers and what have you who actually, like, of course they're having a very difficult time coming back to U.S. soil or whatever the case may be and acclimating again back to society, suffering from PTSD, nightmares, all these horrible, horrible things of the things they witnessed, the things that they had to do. I can't even imagine what it was like. And our main character, Beckett, is dealing with a lot of this. And he doesn't want anybody to thank him. He doesn't want anybody to feel sorry for him. He just wants to leave him alone is essentially what he wants. So he's been flipping houses. He will buy a house, restore it, and flip it, and he hires other former soldiers to work with him. So it's kind of giving these guys, a purpose and something to do. So at the beginning of the book, he's restoring this old house, and he finds this beautiful old stained glass window that's been damaged. But it's like actually been like hidden between 2 walls. It's like somebody covered it over. So he, ends up calling a friend, and this friend ends up calling her sister, Andy, who is our female lead in this book. And she's a art history teacher, but she did deal with glasswork. Like that was what her, I guess, thesis or main project or something was. And so the 2 of them start working together to restore this beautiful stained glass piece. And the story goes from there. And this was so heartfelt. I absolutely loved it. Speaking about it now, I want to push it to like a 4.5 star because, it was just so fantastic. I really liked everything that was dealt with. I liked how real Beckett felt, and how hard it was for Andy. And I don't want to give away too much of the plot, but there's an older couple. And I think the husband served in Vietnam. And the wife had conversations with Andy about how hard it was for her to deal with what it was like. I mean, you hear from the soldier's perspective, of course, and that's horrible, and I'm not diminishing that at all. But what the other family members would have to go through as well, having to try and help this person who might not want help. Do you know what I mean? So it was fantastic. I absolutely recommend it. please do go ahead and read it. This was a really great reading week for me, guys, to be completely honest, because the next book that I finished was a 5-star read, and that was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I did listen to this on audio. Thank you again, Storm, for recommending it on audio. It was narrated by Bailey Carr along with a number of other people. So essentially, this is kind of told in diary entries, podcasts, and there's certain parts where our main character, Pippa, or Pip, as she's known, calls people to get like their facts on the case or what have you, or the disappearance of this girl. And you're getting a different person narrating. So you hear the phone ringing and you hear like the crackle of it being over a phone, and it's so well done. So well done. So the plot of this story is that for her Keystone or Capstone project, I cannot remember exactly what it's called, Pippa, who is now a senior in high school, has decided to investigate the disappearance and alleged murder, of a girl who was 5 years ahead of her in school named Andy, yeah, because Andy was also in the soldier book, so that's why I was a little confused. So, of Andy, and Andy's boyfriend Sal. This isn't really giving away much because literally it's on the back of the book that he's kind of being like, oh, you murdered her, and he ends up committing suicide because of, so that, in a way, the police are like, well, that just shows that how guilty he was. So he was, you can't charge someone who's dead, but he was pretty much like, he killed her, he disposed of the body, they can't find the body anywhere. This book had a lot of twists and turns. You know, just as Pip was investigating something, you'd be like, yes, it's got to be that person. And then it jumped to somebody else, and you're like, oh, no, that makes more sense. You know what I mean? The author did such a great job, and I really did enjoy it. It was just a fun read. Did I find it completely plausible? No, not necessarily, because, again, there are just so many things in here. It's like reading a Nancy Drew. Like, Nancy Drew would never be able to get away with half these things. So, like, the stuff that Pip was doing, some of it kind of made me feel very Scooby-Doo-esque. Like, should you like, there's one scene, I don't want to give anything away again, where she runs upstairs before the police can, just so she can be the one to that's not what would happen in real life. But pure entertainment and enjoyment value of this book was definitely a 5-star read. I really liked it. And I'm looking forward to reading the second book and the third book in the series. I don't know if they get better. I have heard mixed reviews on the other books. But yeah, it was really, really good, guys. I recommend it. And then yesterday, I was out and going to Chapters Indigo, which is our big bookstore here in Canada, like Barnes & Noble in the States. And I was picking up a birthday present for my nephew. And my brother just so happened to be pulling into the parking lot just behind me. Our town is not that small. But, you know, we just kind of said hi to each other. He was going to a different store in the plaza. And my niece was in the back seat. And I said to her, I said, Katie, I said, thank you so much for telling me to read this. Wasn't it good, she says. So I asked her if she's read the other ones. And she said she's read the second one, but she hasn't read the third one yet. So yay on that. And she said she did like the second one. So I am looking forward to it. Guys, this was really good. Again, I don't want to talk too much about this one. I really did go into this one blind. I just knew that it was a girl who was investigating something, and the story kind of went from there. So, yeah, really good. Highly recommend. Now, the one thing I do want to say about it, this is a YA novel because our female lead, Pip, is only 17. However, a good number of the characters in this book, at the time that the book takes place, are in their early 20s. At the time that Andy would have gone missing, they would have been 17, but it's been 5 years since that happened. So they're now like 22, 23. I think one guy is even 25. There's a lot of discussion in here. So this is kind of, I mean, my personal opinion is, you know your own child, right? And I would never say, I don't think a certain child should read this book. My niece is 13 and she read this. But I think, like, depends on the relationship you have with your child and what you think is, well, like, is appropriate for them, what's age appropriate, that there is discussions in here of suicide, of murder, of course, of sex, of drug use, of alcohol, like drinking and driving. Again, not trying to give away too much. So, you know, your kids, you know your kids better than anybody else. You know what I mean? Maybe read it first and see if you think it would be appropriate for them. Or if you have that kind of relationship where your kid wants to read this and you're like, okay, but if you have any questions, come and talk to me, kind of an idea. So, yeah. I wouldn't I mean, yes, this is a YA novel, but again, proceed with caution depending on your own thoughts. So there we go. Loved it. I absolutely loved it. Next up was my DNF. And no surprise to anyone. I'm actually kind of surprised, but I'm not, because I DNF'd her first book as well. The first book I tried to read by her. And this is The Children on the Hill by Jennifer McMahon. This was not for me. I had no problem with the spooky bits in this part. I actually it was like one of those really fun spooky books. This is supposed to be an homage to Frankenstein. But I got about 100-ish pages in, and they started talking about animal abuse and testing on animals, and that's where there's a hard line in the sand for me. I can handle a book if an animal passes away. Even if it's something really bad that an animal passes away because something horrible happened to it, I will cry. It will, upset me, but I can continue reading. But it was a lot in this book, and I just couldn't continue. And I went and I looked at the reviews on Goodreads, and I wasn't the only one. So, that was a hard line in the sand for me. I was enjoying it, and I kind of sort of wanted to finish it, but I couldn't. I couldn't. That kind of stopped me in my tracks, and I didn't pick it up for a couple days, and I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to put it down. So I will donate this to the local thrift store. I'm going to purge through my shelves over the course of this summer, and I'm going to take a bunch of stuff to the local thrift store and donate it. So this will be one of them. Sadly, Jennifer McMahon, she's not for me. Maybe horror just isn't my genre. And that's fine. There's a lot of other things I enjoy reading. So yeah, so that is that. And last but not least, the final book that I finished this week was her Sicilian Baby Revelation by Michelle Smart. I gave this one 3.5 stars. This is another one from my Harlequin project. It is the Presents novel. So in this one, this is the penultimate secret baby. Because not only did we have the secret baby, but we also had amnesia. Pardon me, got the hiccups. So our main character, our female lead, Orla, when the book starts off, it's 4 years earlier, and she meets this guy. She's in Sicily for reasons, and again, I don't want to divulge too much of the plot. And she meets this guy, and they end up having this whirlwind affair for 2 weeks. And then the day before she's going to leave or something like that, she gets approached by this guy's fiance and is like, hey, he's marrying me. What are you doing? And she's like, oh, cripes, that's not good. So she's very, very upset. So she heads back to Ireland because that's where she's from. And he's like, as far as he knew, she just kind of took off. He has no idea what happened. Well, it turns out that the fiance, he had actually already split up with her like a month earlier. And she was just angry and vindictive. So anyway, Orla gets back to Ireland and finds out that she is pregnant. And the story kind of goes from there. So it's now like 4 years later. She was in all you know about her is that she was in a horrible car accident. She was like out of commission for almost 2 years. She did have the baby, but her son has cystic fibrosis. Sorry, I can never say that properly. He is in a wheelchair. He does use a walker. He can talk well. I guess the way it's described, he has a mild form of it. And I did do some research online, and there is to have a less severe case of this condition. Because he could talk and he could kind of communicate, but he suffers from seizures and all these things. And he has this because of the car accident, because she was pregnant at the time. She was 6 months pregnant, was in this horrible car accident. She almost died. The baby almost died. All these things. So she has no recollection of her son's father and how she came to be pregnant, essentially. So this all happens at the beginning of the book. This is kind of all described at the beginning of the book. Then at this wedding, she ends up seeing him again, and it all kind of comes rushing back. So he's angry at her because he feels like she kept his son from him, but she didn't truly remember who he was. This was so soap opera, guys, and it was fun. To be honest, it takes place in both Ireland and Italy, the very exotic locations, and the relationship between Orla and Torrentino, I believe is his name. And yeah, it was really, really good. It was fun. For a Presents novel, this was just honest to goodness, soap opera-esque fun. I enjoyed it a lot. So yay. So yeah, so that's all the books that I read this week, you guys. Not a lot. I read a lot of the Harlequin Project books, but not a lot of the... I have been reading the Nancy Drew book for like 4 or 5 days, so I need to get that done. So as saying, what am I reading? I am currently reading Very Deadly Yours by Caroline Keene. Like I said, I've been reading this for like 4 days now. I'm halfway through it. I'd really like to get it done today. I do have reading sprints later on this afternoon over on Tiffany's channel at the Beach Bum Bookworm, starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if anyone wants to pop in and join. So I hope to get that one done today. I am also reading, I started last night, I read a chapter of this, The Modern Girl's Guide to Magic by Lindsay Hall. And it's about our main character who, from what I've gathered from the first chapter, she is a witch. She lived in a very small town in the Cotswolds in the UK, in London, or not in London, in England, excuse me. She had to leave because she couldn't control her magic. Now she's living in London and she keeps getting fired from jobs for reasons because she can't control her magic. And this is where we are. That's kind of the basis. That's the first chapter. So yeah, so far I am really enjoying this one. And then my 2 Harlequin Project books that I have on the go right now. One is Craving His Forbidden Innocent by Louise Fuller, which is the next Presents novel I have to read. And the other one is Witness Protection Widow by Deborah Webb, which is the first in the Intrigue box set that I am reading. Both of these I am enjoying. I'm only a chapter into the Presents novel, but I'm more than halfway through the Intrigue novel, and that one's really good. Deborah Webb, fabulous writer. Absolutely love her stuff. So that is all that. So let me show you guys my crafting. This is going to be a slightly shorter than normal episode, or video, I should say. I didn't finish as much this weekend. I'm really trying not to waffle on too much about the books that I'm currently reading because I don't want to give away too much. I don't want to be that person who gives away too much. So I want to give you just enough to make you interested, but not too much. So the first thing I thought, as I lose it down on the floor, is, oh, that one's done, is the sock that I'm currently working on. So these are my Christmas socks from 2021. I finished the first sock in early 2022. Never started the second sock. So that's the first one. There's the heel, the foot. This is yarn from Ravenswood Fiber Co., who is Canadian. She's over on the East Coast. I will leave a link to her website in the description box below. This is called Sock Candy. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's actually sparkly. Isn't that pretty? So I did start the second sock, finally. So there it is, starting at the cuff and going to work on this. I'd really like to get this done before Christmas of this year. That's kind of the goal. Actually, it'd be fun to finish it in July for Christmas in July, but, you know, we shall see. And then the sweater. I showed this to you guys last week. This is the Super Bulky Grandpa Sweater by... somebody in my comments told me how to pronounce her name. And I can hear her name being said in my head. But is it Jolene Locatelli, I think, is the designer. And I actually had to tear this out from what I showed you guys originally and restart it again because I messed up. So this is what I have done. I restarted it, but this is what I have done so far. So it doesn't look terribly interesting right now, but I assure you, it's going to be a sweater. So this is the back part that would go, this part right here is what's going to go here, and then it continues down. So it's that piece. And then from here, I am building out the back and the sleeves. Again, it doesn't look like much right now. Hope to get some more of this done this week. I haven't had a lot of time to work on this, not because I haven't had the time, but there is sorry, I keep banging the needles around. There is kind of a lot that I need to do with this, like in terms of increasing stitches and decreasing stitches and, you know, paying attention. It's one that takes a bit more attention now. So I just got to get through this point where I'm kind of building like this part here that's going to sit here. And then you put the sleeves on hold and then you just continue knitting down the body. That will be super quick and easy. Once I get to the body part, just to be knitting, like just knitting will be great. So yeah, I'm enjoying that one. So that's how far I've gotten on that this week. So anyway, guys, that's it. That's it for this video this week. I do hope that you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below. Did you read these books? Did you end up reading? Have you read the Jennifer McMahon? I know some of you probably have. What did you guys think about it? It wasn't for me, unfortunately. And yeah, so let me know what you read. And until my next video, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.